Tom Aspinall is turning heads once again as he showcases an impressive and finely tuned physique ahead of his upcoming clash with Cyril Gane on October 25. Known for his explosive athleticism and technical striking, the interim heavyweight champion has clearly intensified his training camp in preparation for one of the most anticipated matchups of the year. Recent training footage and photos reveal a leaner, more defined version of Aspinall, suggesting a strategic focus on both speed and endurance to counter Gane's dynamic movement and precision striking. This bout is shaping up to be a pivotal moment in the heavyweight division, with both fighters seeking to make a definitive statement on their path toward undisputed supremacy. Aspinall's disciplined preparation has been evident not just in his physical transformation but also in his approach to media obligations and mental conditioning. The British star has consistently spoken about his desire to improve with every fight, emphasizing that the work done behind the scenes is what separates champions from contenders. Fans and analysts alike have noticed his evolving skill set, predicting a high-level contest where game plans and adaptability could prove decisive. While the heavyweight division is buzzing with anticipation over Aspinall versus Gane, the light heavyweight scene also saw major developments this past weekend. Former title challenger Dominic Reyes suffered a dramatic setback, ending his 3-fight winning streak in devastating fashion. In a bout that showcased Carlos Ulberg's rising potential, Reyes was stopped in decisive fashion, sparking discussion about his future in the division. Known for his heart and striking power, Reyes had been attempting to rebuild momentum after a difficult stretch in his career. However, this latest loss has left fans and analysts questioning what might be next for the talented but embattled contender. In the aftermath of the fight, Reyes demonstrated class and humility by issuing a public statement congratulating his opponent. "Congratulations to Carlos," Reyes wrote online. "It just wasn't my night. God is good always." The brief but gracious message reflected his sportsmanship and mental resilience despite the disappointing outcome. Many in the MMA community praised Reyes for his response, noting that setbacks are an inevitable part of high-level competition and that his willingness to own the result may help him rebuild stronger. With October 25 fast approaching, the focus remains squarely on the heavyweight headliner between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane. Both fighters possess unique strengths, Aspinall with his crisp boxing and wrestling ability, and Gane with his fluid footwork and technical striking. The matchup represents a fascinating stylistic clash that could reshape the future of the division. As fight night draws nearer, the MMA world will be watching closely to see whether Aspinall's sharpened physique and relentless preparation will be enough to overcome one of the most dangerous opponents in the sport today. Conor McGregor has once again captured global attention with his latest revelation regarding his highly anticipated return to the octagon. For months, speculation has been swirling about McGregor's participation in the upcoming UFC White House card next year. Fans and media outlets alike assumed that negotiations were underway with the UFC's top executives, as is customary for major fight deals. However, McGregor has now clarified that his current discussions are not with the UFC at all, but with the United States government. This unexpected twist has reignited the buzz surrounding his comeback and raised fresh questions about the scope and scale of his plans. Speaking recently about the status of his involvement with the UFC White House event, McGregor explained that unlike previous negotiations where he dealt directly with UFC officials on his own behalf, he is now engaging with U.S. officials, on behalf of Ireland. The former two-division champion emphasized that this fight represents a unique situation, indicating that he is working directly with the U.S. administration to secure the terms of his participation. McGregor went on to praise former President Donald Trump's administration for its backing, calling the support fully supportive, and stating that he cannot wait to put on a show. This statement, which has since gone viral on social media, underscores the extraordinary nature of this negotiation and how it differs from any other fight deal in UFC history. Adding to the intrigue, McGregor also disclosed his staggering financial and logistical demands for the proposed bout. According to his own posts online, he is seeking a $100 million payday, a figure that would dwarf even his biggest UFC earnings to date. Additionally, McGregor is reportedly requesting 100 U.S. golden visas for himself, his family, and close associates. These visas, if granted, would provide long-term residency opportunities in the United States for those named on the list. Such requests have fueled intense speculation among fans and analysts about McGregor's intentions and the broader significance of this deal beyond the fight itself. This ambitious approach reflects McGregor's larger-than-life persona and his ability to blur the lines between sport, business, and politics. While fighters traditionally negotiate through promotional companies and athletic commissions, McGregor appears to be operating at a level more akin to a head of state or global entertainment brand. This tactic not only cements his reputation as one of the sport's most audacious figures but also sets a new precedent for how high-profile athletes might negotiate future events. As of now, neither the UFC nor the White House has issued an official confirmation of McGregor's participation or the terms he is seeking. However, the Irish superstar's comments have already made waves across the combat sports landscape. Whether this ultimately leads to the biggest payday of his career, a landmark event at the White House, or simply another bold statement in the McGregor saga, one thing is clear. Conor McGregor continues to redefine what it means to be a global superstar in mixed martial arts. Dana White has unveiled a massive announcement that signals a major shift in the combat sports landscape. It was revealed that TKO and Paramount have agreed to expand their partnership, with Paramount acquiring broadcast rights for Zuffa Boxing. This new deal will officially begin in January 2026 and marks a long-term media rights agreement designed to grow boxing's reach on a global scale. While the exact value and length of the deal have not been disclosed, the agreement represents a major step forward for Zuffa Boxing, which will now guarantee 12 events per year streaming on Paramount+. Select events will also have the potential to air on CBS or other Paramount platforms, giving the promotion unprecedented exposure. In his announcement, Dana White expressed his excitement about bringing high-quality boxing events to a worldwide audience. He stated that millions of boxing fans will now have easier access to competitive fights, featuring both rising prospects and some of the biggest names in the sport. According to White, Paramount will become a premier destination for combat sports enthusiasts, offering top-tier UFC action alongside elite boxing content. The integration of Zuffa Boxing into Paramount's network represents not only a new chapter for the company but also an expanded avenue for boxing to thrive alongside mixed martial arts. Another key part of the announcement focused on regulatory and structural changes. White clarified that the Muhammad Ali Act, a cornerstone of boxing's legal framework, will remain intact, with no words removed from the original act. Instead, his team plans to add provisions to create an updated version, giving fighters the option to compete under the original legislation or under Zuffa's enhanced framework. This flexibility could provide fighters with more autonomy while also offering promoters new ways to stage events within legal boundaries. White also revealed plans for a fresh approach to the production and presentation of boxing events. A new boxing ring design is currently in development, with an emphasis on innovative visuals and technology. White noted that LEDs and other modern production elements are already being tested to elevate the viewing experience for fans. While he emphasized that no definitive rule changes have been finalized, he did not rule out the possibility of future modifications. According to White, the goal is to enhance the sport while maintaining its integrity, signaling that everything from ring aesthetics to competitive regulations is on the table for review. This announcement positions Zuffa Boxing as a transformative force in the sport, blending traditional boxing heritage with modern production values and corporate partnerships. By aligning with Paramount, Zuffa Boxing gains the infrastructure and reach to deliver high-quality events to millions of fans worldwide. Dana White's approach, keeping core regulations intact while innovating around presentation and fighter opportunities, suggests a bold vision for boxing's future. If successful, this new partnership could redefine how the sport is consumed, presented, and governed in the years to come. Ronda Rousey's name is once again making headlines in the MMA world as speculation grows over a potential return to the UFC in 2026. Nearly a decade removed from her last fight, the former bantamweight champion and trailblazer for women's MMA has fueled rumors by posting training footage of herself hitting pads and expressing a renewed love for the gym. These signs have prompted intense debate over whether Rousey could realistically make a comeback at 38 years old, with analysts and fans weighing in on the risks and rewards of such a move. One of the most notable voices in the discussion has been veteran UFC fighter Matt Brown, who recently issued a stark warning to Rousey about attempting to re-enter the octagon after such an extended layoff. Speaking on a podcast, Brown drew parallels between Rousey's situation and that of other high-profile fighters who have taken significant time off, including Conor McGregor. According to Brown, the sport has evolved far beyond the days when fighters could take long breaks and return to top-level competition without significant consequences. This isn't 1998 anymore, Brown stressed. Everybody else is working every day. He warned that the years away from the sport could leave Rousey vulnerable to being destroyed by younger, more active opponents. Brown's comments tap into a broader sentiment within the MMA community. While Rousey remains an iconic figure, the modern UFC landscape is more competitive than ever. Since her last fight in 2016, a devastating first-round loss to Amanda Nunes, the women's bantamweight division has only grown stronger. New contenders have emerged with more complete skill sets, better training methods, and experience honed in a far more active fighting environment. Other analysts have also shared their skepticism about a possible return. Journalist Damon Martin noted on social media that he doubts Rousey is truly planning a comeback, citing nearly 10 years away from the sport and the physical toll she sustained during her career. "Ronda is an all-time legend," Martin wrote, "no need to even contemplate a comeback." Another commentator added that very few fighters in the history of MMA have successfully taken multiple years off and returned to elite competition, citing Georges St. Pierre and Dominic Cruz as rare examples. Both men managed comebacks after extended absences but were out for only 3 to 4 years, far shorter than Rousey's potential hiatus. Despite the doubts, the prospect of Rousey fighting again inevitably excites the MMA world. Her name recognition, star power, and role as a pioneer in women's combat sports virtually guarantee that any return would be one of the year's biggest stories. If she were to step back into the octagon in 2026 at age 38, it would not only be a historic moment but also a major test of whether an athlete of her caliber can defy time and evolution in one of the world's most demanding sports. For now, the buzz continues to grow, but the challenges ahead for Ronda Rousey remain as daunting as her legacy is enduring. The stakes are rising ahead of UFC 320 as Magomed Ankalaev sends a firm warning to Alex Pereira in anticipation of their high-profile rematch for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. Pereira, the former champion, was granted an immediate rematch after Ankalaev captured the 205-pound title in their previous encounter. Their first meeting at UFC 313 in March saw Ankalaev grind out a unanimous decision victory, dethroning Pereira and establishing himself as the new champion. Now, with UFC 320 on the horizon, both fighters are making bold statements as they prepare to settle unfinished business. Ankalaev, speaking in a new UFC promotional video, made it clear that this rematch is not merely a redemption opportunity for Pereira. Instead, he views it as a chance to definitively close the chapter between them. "This rematch isn't a chance for Alex to redeem himself," Ankalaev stated. "It's a chance for me to finish him." The Dagestani powerhouse is widely recognized for his technical discipline and wrestling prowess, and he intends to showcase those strengths once again, but this time with a more decisive ending. Despite losing his belt, Pereira remains confident and dismissive of Ankalaev's narrative. In the same UFC promotional clip, the Brazilian striker fired back, expressing that he wasn't dominated in their first fight and that Ankalaev failed to execute on his promises. "People kept saying he'd take me down and dominate me on the ground, but that didn't happen," Pereira said. "Before our first fight, he said he was going to do all these things, and he did nothing. The truth is, he doesn't deserve to be where he is. He's not an exciting fighter." Pereira's comments reflect his belief that his striking and championship pedigree will allow him to reclaim the belt at UFC 320. If Pereira succeeds in regaining the title, the stage could be set for an even bigger storyline, a potential trilogy fight between the two. Given their competitive history and contrasting styles, a rubber match would be one of the most anticipated bouts in the division. However, the light heavyweight landscape is becoming increasingly crowded, and new contenders are already positioning themselves for a shot at the belt. One such contender is Carlos Ulberg, who made a strong case for himself with his recent victory over Dominic Reyes. Ulberg has openly stated his willingness to serve as the backup fighter for the UFC 320 main event, even telling UFC officials he is prepared to fly to Las Vegas and step in at a moment's notice. "I'm prepared to be a backup for next week. Fly me to Vegas and I'll be there," Ulberg said, adding that he's ready to make weight and stay on standby for the title fight. As UFC 320 approaches, the anticipation continues to build. With Ankalaev determined to finish the former champion, Pereira aiming to reclaim his crown, and Ulberg lurking as a dangerous challenger, the light heavyweight division has rarely been more intriguing. This rematch promises not only to deliver action inside the cage but also to shape the future trajectory of the division for years to come.